So I've got my music pumping and I'm ready to rock and roll over into Poznan, Poland. If it weren't for these damn traffic lights stopping us in England and all the other speed cameras that you've got over there, it's really, really annoying because I like driving like a lunatic. Clearly, everyone likes to comment on my driving inability, I guess you'd say. But we are driving off to Poland because I've got the Europe map installed and it really doesn't change the rest of Europe. All it really changes is Poland. Or at least the road to Poznan. Quickly show how that looks. At the moment we're at Carlisle. We're going all the way up into Edinburgh. We've already got a mission from Edinburgh to Poznan, 1,500 kilometers. Nothing too large, but it'll last us a long while though. And then Poznan, here we go. There's new roads from Szczecin to Poznan. This one, I'm pretty sure this is a new road as well. And over here, this is also a new road. They're pretty much country roads, but I'm guessing that the mod author would have made them look really cool and put some nice little Easter eggs maybe there or something like that. So, it'll definitely be an enjoyable ride. I've got some music by Approaching Nirvana as well, so you can go ahead and check the download link if you're that way inclined. Why are we turning left over here? It's telling me to go into the services. Quality GPS. It's not... Well, do I need to go to sleep? No. Why would it be telling me that? I guess this is a shortcut. The game just sees it as a much quicker way. But okay, I'll take it for what it is. It's probably not as harsh a turn as well. It's a little bit straighter. But in this episode, I'll also be talking a little bit about gun control. Just a little bit. Something that I really still don't understand. And I don't really understand much of it at all. But something that I just feel is a big hypocrisy. And the rest I'll be talking about a little bit. Oh, I want to indicate not turning out windscreen wipers. But I'll be talking a little bit about drugs, and especially because of the whole Lance Armstrong dilemma, etc. Oh God, we're in England, I forgot. But it's just with the general public, I just think a lot of people really have no idea what they're talking about. So I guess hopefully I will at least tell you some things that I know in regards to performance enhancing drugs, and hopefully it'll maybe open up your mind a little bit. But as I said, we are driving off into Poland. Right now we're going to Edinburgh though, without any trailer. Hopefully this music ain't too loud either. Let's go get right into it. With the guns, what I wanted to say pretty much was, I still don't understand, because the Second Amendment says that like it just states about arms, like you have the right, the citizens will have a right to create a militia and have their own arms. It doesn't say anything about firearms, just about arms. And the way I say arms is that it includes knives and baseball bats and golf clubs, all your typical like melee type weapons, but including your firearms. You got your pistols and your semi-automatic guns and your automatic guns, whatever, and all that. But also now with modern technology and rocketry and physics and science, you also have bombs now. Particularly, I like to use nuclear bombs as an example in this, because I feel that using the most extreme, the most extreme example is a good way of testing your own integrity, I guess. But what I don't really understand is that why doesn't anyone in America really defend their rights to be able to keep nuclear weapons or nuclear bombs or any intercontinental ballistic missile or anything like that? That's what I don't understand, because I'd assume and I'd really hope that it's because of harm minimization. You know, you can't let things like that get into the hands of nutters or terrorists or whatever, mentally disabled people or whatever. And I completely agree, and I extend that to guns as well. But what I do not understand is just why don't, if you think that it's your rights, your Second Amendment is so damn important. It's going to start raining, isn't it? Sure is. But the Second Amendment is just oh so important, etc. That why don't you defend nuclear weapons? It's something I don't really understand. And just the amount of fear that must be in the general American public. You must admit you're a very fearful. Oh, what the hell just happened? We are lagging quite bad. Let's use the good old escape method. You're still lagging? There we go. No? It just sped up, okay. But yeah, it's just something that I really don't understand. Just the fear in the general American society. It is a very, I guess, a violent culture. But I was watching, particularly another thing I don't really understand is the NRA. They just seem like, to me, like the biggest bunch of fuckwits I've ever seen, personally. Or I've ever heard. The amount of logic that they use is comparable to a 3-year-old child. They blame computer games and video games for the violence, well, the violence with guns, etc. They think that they're motivating children. Isn't this guy a bit of an idiot over here on the right? They think the computer games motivate children to be all violent and all that good stuff, or bad stuff, however you want to say it. But then they go ahead and release their own shooting range little app on the iPad, etc. It just doesn't make any sense. They release their own games or video games on consoles and different, I don't know, mobile devices, and yet they blame video games for shootings. It really doesn't make any sense. And I think most of you guys, I'm pretty much preaching to the choir on this topic, but I do know a lot of you guys in America still like will call me an idiot, etc. for even trying to understand why you guys are so hypocritical, at least in terms of what I just said about the Second Amendment. It just, like, if you guys want your guns, okay, but you know, you gotta have harm minimization. Like, you guys use your Second Amendment that, you know, your founding fathers were some kinds of visionaries, that they could see that you could take down your government with arms, with firearms. Back in those days, they probably couldn't envision nuclear weapons or atomic bombs, etc., and all that stuff. And I guess that's the point of amendments. They're there to be changed. It's not your constitution isn't there to be like a Bible or whatever. Like, it's not there to stand the test of time. It's there to be changed when situations arise. You can add to it, you can take away from it. I'm not really sure. It might be like a 2/3 of the states might need. I'm not really sure on the numbers that you need to change the constitution or a certain amendment or whatever. But I know that you can, and rightfully so. But obviously, there's the amount of fear. Like, when not only does it come to like private citizen versus private citizen. Say if you have a robber entering your house, you want to feel safe. You want to use weapons against him, which to me doesn't make sense, because supposedly most Americans support storing guns away in a locker, in a safe, which if there's a robber in your house, I don't think you'd really have enough time to go and open up a locker and then do your thing. But okay, and then there's a fear of the governments as well, which I guess stems back all the way from your history. When it comes to the British government, back in the days. But if you really think that you, well, as the citizen, that the citizens have the ability to take the American government on, or the American military on, I mean, you must be pretty stupid and you must be pretty paranoid. And I just really don't understand the American military with all its might and all its power. You guys like to profess how powerful your army is. It's by far the most powerful army in the world, and that's a very big reason as to why Australia is so reliant and such a close ally, at least, of America, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that a big American army is a bad thing. All I'm saying is that you guys, domestically at least, say that you're fearful of your government and of your military and overreach and tyranny, as you guys like to call it. But for whatever reason, you also like to say how good your army is and just how much stronger it is than everyone else's. It just doesn't really make much sense to me, personally. We're only at 14 kilometers away from Carlisle. Well, not Carlisle, but Edinburgh, sorry. So I better chuck it right now. And of course, I really didn't expect anything in Scotland. Oh, neither did I expect that, but I'm not expecting anything less apart from rain. This is a damn tight corner. Aren't we turning over here? No, we're not. We're right. I know, a bit silly. But here we go, over into Edinburgh. We've already been into Edinburgh, I'm fairly sure, a couple of times, and now we've got to go Newcastle upon Tyne. Pretty sure that's the place we want to go to. And as well, this game has been released on Steam. If you have not realized yet, it is on Steam, available for download. And you can use your, well, if you've bought off the official website, you can use your keygen, your key number. Not a keygen, what is it called? Like, it's, you're driving on the left as well. But your key number, whatever you call it. Oh, wait, I actually got to stop over here. But you can use that, and you can activate the game on Steam as well, which is a really, really good and pretty neat feature that SCS have done. So I'm really happy about that. And oh, really? The mission to Poznan was just denied. All right, well, it's a bit of a shame. Where can we drive to? Oh, makes me want to cry. Wait, let's go over to the job market. Go over into the freight market. Maybe Glasgow is something nice. No. Oh, this is a bit of a boo-boo. A bit of a problem, this. Dresden? Dresden seems like a good place. Means I've got to go all the way to Aberdeen. What about Glasgow? I want to, how about, okay, we won't go to Poland then. We won't really get to see much of the map mod. I'll have to go over there later on then. But I'll go to Glasgow, and I want to go down this country road through Glasgow through to Carlisle. So I'll go Glasgow to Paris. That seems decent. Seems like a good way to go. 1,000 kilometers. Yeah, alright. I'll take that mission. Alright. What I should have checked real quick is just how much time I've got to be there. When does this mission end? 7:30 on a Sunday. It's okay. We got a full day. That's good. It's a mission for Aldi as well. Company that I'm very much aware of due to their success in Australia. Right, how do we get out of here? It's behind us, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Whoa. Definitely sketchy. So I've been reading a couple of their blogs now of SCS, and they've been saying that the mod should be coming out soon. I'm pretty sure like their main goal for the first couple of weeks of January at least was trying to release Euro Truck Sim on Steam. And they've done that very successfully, at least. It's been the top seller ever since it's come out, so that's quite good. Hopefully it'll have as well as maybe some Steam Workshop integration. That would be cool to see. Really cool actually, because well, when it comes to simulator sites, there's no really good websites. I've been looking at making my own website as well, trying to leech off like mods and maybe not even upload them, but link to the main website or whatever. Trying to see, but I like working out how to create websites and all that. It does get a bit frustrating when you've done something wrong and you don't know what you're doing or what's wrong, but all in all, it's pretty fun creating a website. This rain's definitely lasting quite long. Anyway, the other big story, well, the biggest story of the week, well, in the world so far this week is, well, it's been Mali as well, but the Lance Armstrong doping thing. I personally have always said that he's been doping, but I guess now that he's come out, etc., and ever since like August, I guess everyone's really been saying that. Supposedly they've always been saying that he's been using drugs, but I go a little bit further. I personally say that I can say with 100% certainty that a lot of the sprinters, etc., and a lot of the, if you want to be an elite athlete in any sport, you have to be pretty much taking drugs, doping. The main world anti-doping agency, WADA, is pretty much the guys that they're the world organization, at least when it comes to doping, and they set the guidelines and what they're going to test and pretty much how they're going to test for it. And well, Lance Armstrong, he's been supposedly doping ever since his cancer revival. He had testicular cancer. I think he only has one testicle now, unfortunately, because he had testicular cancer. And after that, he was a really good cyclist before that. And he came back, and he came back better than ever. Obviously with the use of drugs at this time. And yeah, he's been taking drugs ever since, well, since 1998, I think he said, or whenever, until 2007. I'm pretty sure it was when he stopped. Suppose this is what he says. He stopped in 2007. That's not really true. But the reason he says he stopped in 2007 is because WADA, well, personally, I'll give you some of my experiences. I'm a natural bodybuilder, or at least a natural bodybuilder so far in my life. I'm only 20 years old, but that'll change. But I know how like the WADA and ASADA work and all that, because natural bodybuilding is, it's not tested at all. You only get tested if you place in like the top 3, and you only get tested on the day of the competition. It's not really drug testing. People don't really realize it costs a fuckload of money. It costs so much money, drug testing. It's not even remotely funny. And that's why a lot of these sporting organizations really only test for illicit drugs like cocaine, etc. They don't really test for performance enhancing drugs. Even though cocaine is surely a performance enhancing drug, it's not really too beneficial to use it though. I'm gonna chuck a left as well. Try to cut this yellow car off. There we go. Yeah, the reason he said he's stopped ever since, I think it was he stopped in 2005 it would have been, because the reason he says that is WADA has a rule that, well, whenever you sign up to a WADA regulated sport or competition, you have to accept the rules. And the rules when it comes to WADA is that you have to say you've been drug clean for 7 years. And since he says he stopped cycling, he retired from cycling in 2005 after his 7th, oh whoa, that hurt. Since his 7th victory, Tour de France victory, he said he stopped because now he obviously, as he said, he still wants to compete in competitive sports. Whoa, jeez, I'm driving badly. What the hell is wrong with me? Whoa, 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 whoa. Maybe I should drive more on the left side. But now, because he wants to get into the ultra, well, I don't think he wants to get into ultra marathons, but the triathlons and the marathons, he wants to get into them and compete in them. A lot of these marathons, I'm pretty sure, I know the Sydney Marathon really doesn't have any real rules, at least in the, I guess, in the general public racing. Maybe in the professional side of things it does, I don't really know. They don't really make that public. But yeah, he obviously wants to compete, as he said, still, but he was most definitely doping in 2008. I've seen some of his results in the USADA, the United States Anti-Doping Agency. They released their report, and it shows his red blood cell counts in season and out of season. And it's quite obvious that he was using APO at the time, because his red blood cells during the season, which is, I'm not really too sure in the cycling season, but I'd assume it's around now until probably August. or so. About 7 months or so. Maybe even a little bit longer. Maybe some of you guys know a bit more than me. We definitely want to go to Paris. Take that. Yeah, obviously he wants to keep a little bit more. But he admitted to taking testosterone. He didn't say what type of testosterone. Or ester of testosterone. Or that'd be neat to know. Let me just shut up while we're reversing because it's so loud. Oh, it sounds like it's storming. But he also admitted to using things like human growth hormone, which is impossible to test for, unless like he literally tests the guy that took human growth hormones, like right away, almost like within 20 or so minutes of him taking human growth hormone, and then he blood doped. Blood doping is when you inject yourself with either your own blood that you've taken out previously, or if you've taken out before, or from someone else. Usually it's from yourself though, and you store it. And there's 2 ways you can test for that. Oh, really? Speeding offense? Usually it's you can tell that someone's blood doped due to them having lots of plasticizers in their blood, which is when they I'm not really sure of the wording for it, but when you have the blood, the thing that holds the blood, those bags, I'm not really sure what they're called, but they have plasticizers in them, so it's pretty obvious when someone blood dopes and they use one of those geez, I can't really think of the word right now. But anyway, it's completely safe, etc. And the Australian Army use blood doping, at least the Australian SAS, they do. Unfortunately, performance-enhancing drugs, other performance-enhancing drugs aren't legal in the Australian Army because, well, they aren't allowed because the Australian Army clearly, well, obviously most armies are going to be very male-orientated pursuits. There's going to be way more males and it's very testosterone-fueled, and I guess guys want to, I don't know, show off and be as big and impressive as they possibly can and, I don't know, intimidate others or whatever. So the Australian Army sees performance-enhancing drugs as performance-enhancing performance image-enhancing drugs. So yeah, they don't allow pretty much anything to be taken, which is pretty ludicrous, I think. Because, well, they still use things like roid rage as excuses. There's no such thing as roid rage. Unfortunately, I guess it's movies that have propagated that idea. Yeah, a lot of people really think that roid rage is a side effect of using testosterone. It definitely isn't. Some people might definitely get a bit angrier, but it's not like you have uncontrollable fits of rage. I mean, or you're going to become an asshole. If you're an asshole before you take steroids, you're going to just be a bigger asshole when you take steroids, or anabolic androgenic steroids, because there's different types of steroids. There's cortisol or cortisoid steroids, which pretty much are used for like anti-inflammatory things, and when you have an injury you might have had a corticosteroid or things that reduce inflammation or swelling. And then you have your anabolic androgenic steroids, which are anabolic, as the name suggests. They increase size, particularly of your muscles. And androgenic means like they give masculizing effects, as in you grow beards, or you grow more body hair, etc. Like the pretty much the manly features, not the muscle increasing, etc. or the recovery time in training or whatever. But just they can give you acne as well, though. If you're more prone to acne, they can definitely give you that, though. And that's if you don't know what you're doing. But that's see, this is sort of a good thing about steroids being illegal. Like, I don't agree with it, because I think every man should be able to pick their own poison. If you want to kill yourself, then you should be able to do it. I mean, I personally believe in it's pretty interesting, because I believe, like, I'm more on the, I'd say, on the libertarian side of things, on the libertarian right, but I still believe in gun control and gun laws because clearly in Australia, no one can deny that they don't work. I mean, that they do work. You can't say they don't work because they do. There's no two ways about it. Of course, it's in the, I guess, in the front to personal liberty to take away people's ability to buy guns, but you know, you can't have everything. You can't have nuclear weapons. Clearly, there's a reason for that, at least in Australia there is. So, you can't have absolute freedom of speech either. You can't, well, probably even more so in America. Well, in our Constitution, we don't have anything guaranteeing freedom of speech. It's more of an unsaid thing in our laws, or in the way our laws are created, or were created at the time. But we don't have an implicit law saying that the freedom of speech must be guaranteed, etc. Which I think is personally is a bad thing. But really, the courts recognise that there is a rights to the freedom of speech, and that's what, at the end of the day, what matters. It's what the courts do. But yeah, as I was saying, with Lance Armstrong, what was I talking about before I went off track? This is cool. There's a, oh, I guess this is the other. Okay, so this is like a big highway because there's a one-way road and that's the other side. Okay, makes sense. And wow, this is a sharp corner. Hopefully we don't smash into anyone. It's been raining forever. But damn you, Britain. Just trying to think what I was just talking about before I went on my rant. Something about, well, I personally believe that everyone should be able to, I don't know, pick their own poison, etc. And, you know, some people drink alcohol, some people smoke cigarettes. I guess cigarettes are a bit more of a health and safety issue to other people as well, but when it comes to, like, alcohol, I personally believe that anyone should be able to drink alcohol. I've never drunk alcohol and I don't think I ever will. I have no desire to. But I completely support anyone that wants to do it. And I completely support and believe that anyone should be able to, you know, use steroids. Even though saying that in, I don't know, in our cultures, in Western culture at least, is pretty much like saying, I don't know, like saying you were gay 50 or so years ago, making it public. It's an extremely big social taboo. Something that you can't really talk about or say. It's something that it's really looked down upon. Interestingly though, I think there's a lot of, well, there definitely is a lot of misinformation when it comes to steroids, but the worst thing that definitely happens when you take steroids is because when you take them, or testosterone, is your testicles shrink. That's if you're taking testosterone and you're a man. Your testicles shrink because there's no need for them to, well, your testicles don't actually create the testosterone, but well, there's no real need for them anymore. So your testicles do shrink. You can recover your size after you take a steroid cycle. And that's another thing that Lance Armstrong would have most definitely lied about, is the amount of drugs that he took. Cycling is a aerobic sport. It also has anaerobic aspects to it, but it's a very aerobic sport, as in, by aerobic I mean, well, there's 3 different energy cycles. This is going to be like a damn sports science lesson for you guys if anyone's still interested in it. But there's 3 main energy phases that your body has. It has your ATP and creatine phosphate cycle. Then it has your anaerobic or your lactic acid cycle. So if you guys, I don't know, if you guys do your 100-meter sprints and you get that lactic acid, that pain, That's because you're not getting enough oxygen into the blood or the muscle. So that's why you have that lactic acid. That's why you feel that. Or if you say you're doing like a 10-kilometer run, or I don't know, 3-kilometer cross country or whatever, you don't really feel that lactic acid, but it's you're pretty much limited to the amount of oxygen that you're able to intake, and by pretty much your work ethic, I guess you could say, which is your aerobic phase, I guess you could call it. Whereas in cycle, most long distance sports, well, all long distance sports require the aerobic aspect the most, and that's aerobic sports are probably the easiest to dope for because you really don't need all that much testosterone. Like I'm talking, this is my like how I know all of this stuff is through bodybuilding and through learning that. I'm going to be going on my first steroid cycle quite soon, actually. I'm only 20 at the moment, so. But then again, there's a lot of misinformation. Again, like when you're still young, etc., you're still developing. That's true, definitely true to an extent. Steroids definitely have an impact on your growth plates. But I'm not going to get any taller. I'm already tall enough. I'm about 6'2". No, 6'3" now. Yeah, 6'3". Well, I say now, but I've been 6'3" for a long, long time. Probably for the last 6 or so years now. But yeah, there's really a lot of misinformation on when you take them when you're young as well. What's the music playing? I can barely hear it. It's there, but you can barely hear it. Finally, a tunnel. Ah, finally. That is so nice, and we're getting tired. That is nice. Yeah, when it comes to aerobic sports, you really don't need to take all that much. It's mainly blood doping to increase the amount of oxygen that you can hold in your body and then you can give off to your muscles. Excuse me, I'm coughing really bad. Whoa. If you hear any long pauses, because I'm probably coughing and I've edited that out. But yeah, all you really need to take, the most important things are to blood dope, to increase the amount of red blood cells and the amount of blood that you have. Because blood doping increases everything, including your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your blood plasma, all that good stuff, because that's all of your blood. Whereas EPO, or erythropoietin, increases your body's production of red blood cells, which is extremely useful in an aerobic sport. It is mind-blowingly useful. That's what you need the most. You don't really need to take all that much testosterone to be the best. But believe me, everyone's on it. I'll get into that. I'll get into that now. But as I was saying, like, in most sports, pretty much every athlete is using performance-enhancing drugs. Whether it be from caffeine. The caffeine was banned previously, and it still should be. It is most definitely a performance-enhancing drug, and it's much more powerful than a lot of other drugs that are banned. It's just unfortunately because in the sporting world, as much as like people like to talk about the integrity of sport and all that bullshit, at the end of the day, it's about money. It's all it ever will be about now, unfortunately. And yeah, that's unfortunately why we have so many blood dopers. Finally, the sun's coming out. It's because it's about money. There's a lot of money to be made. I mean, you look at these African guys, they're going to spend the rest of their life, you know, farming on some sand and unfertile land, or they can spend their life in, I don't know, they have to spend their life training, or at least their younger life training, but they're going to have pretty much an unlimited source of money compared to what they had back in Ethiopia or wherever. Obviously, I think if you're half a smart person, you'd take the money option and you'd take performance-enhancing drugs, etc. And you'd strive the best. But as I was saying, probably the one person that you can't accuse of taking drugs or anything without being scorned by other people, at least, is Usain Bolt and his new rival, I guess you could call him, Johan Blake, which is absolutely ridiculous. They have the same coach. I mean, if it isn't obvious enough that they have the same coach, you think their coach is just some type of magical guru that has some unfounded training techniques? People really think that? Like this, the coach is damn fat, for fuck's sake. He's fat, and people think that he has some unfounded training techniques that people are never gonna find out. And that's why he's creating all these 100-meter champions. I can assure you that's not why Usain Bolt or the other Jamaican sprinters are so good, particularly around the Caribbean nations. But the reason is because they're on drugs, and it's incredibly easy for them. The most amazing thing, I think, for me is, and the thing that other people need to understand, is that the only way you can really stop drugs is not by testing in competition. It's testing, really, avoiding sleep. Oh, and there was just a damn sleeping station there. I should be paying more attention instead of talking. Shouldn't I? I still have my damn... That on. Okay. But yeah, the reason they are all so fast, these Caribbean runners, is because they live in quite poor countries. And as I was saying, the most amazing thing about the whole Armstrong thing, at least, is that he is an American citizen. America has so much money, they could just assign so much money to catching the people that use the drugs, etc. But it costs billions of dollars if you really were serious about it. And the only way you can catch people that use these drugs is by continuous randomized, I guess, it's sort of a irony, but randomized routine drug tests. And by randomized routine, I mean, say you have to be drug test fortnightly, but it could be any time in that fortnight. Say it could be on the 14th day, and then you get tested again on the 2nd day or whatever, instead of you knowing exactly when you're going to be tested. That is the only way you can detect and stop these professional drug users. I'm not going to really call them cheats, because, you know, caffeine should be illegal, but, you know, money talks. Coca-Cola is a massive sponsor of the Olympics, personally. Well, they sponsor the Olympics majorly. Definitely need to stop off over here. Don't worry, I'm going to stop. I'm going to be driving through the night, which I'm not too keen on. But you got to do what you got to do. And I think this mod also changed the petrol prices to $1.75. Wow. It used to be $1.40 or so. Then again, petrol isn't that expensive over here. Or at least in this game, because the amount of money that we make. Yeah, the only way you can catch drug cheats is by what the UCI have done is they've created their own blood passport type thing, whereas it's legally questionable, because what used to be the case is that you have to be... Excuse all my rambling. I'm sure. Sorry if this is completely uninteresting, but I just like talking about it, etc. But there's a lot of... What was I going to say? I have the worst memory, especially when I'm trying to drive a damn truck and not crash like I typically do. But the way you typically used to test for drugs is that there'd be upper limits. So there used to be testosterone to estrogen ratios, and if you were over, I think it was 8 to 1, 8 testosterone to 1 estrogen, then you'd be classified as a dope cheat. whereas usually it's maximally like a 3-to-1 ratio. And so you had a massive like amount that you could still dope, and you could test yourself and to be sure that you are under the limits. Whereas now, what UCI have done, I'm not sure what it stands for. UCI, something cycling. It's probably something in French. Now that what they've introduced is a passport, a blood passport. Oh right, I forgot to sleep, didn't I? Fuck. Oh, I'm so stupid. All right. Oh well, we're gonna get to our destination quicker then. How far away are we from the docks? That's gonna be interesting. We're quite a while away, aren't we? If I open up the big map. There she is. All right. So once we get to Dover, we're pretty much already there. Yeah. I guess London's halfway. Well, from Manchester now. The blood passport that UCI have adopted now is the right thing to do, I guess. It's the cheapest option. It's not the best option. The best option is, as I said, randomized routine drug tests, which costs such a mind-blowing amount of money that no one wants to do it. Blood tests cost so much money, and well, testing for drug cheats or drug users, performance-enhancing drugs is incredibly expensive. So that's why they only really test the people that come in the first couple of positions. Nobody really cares if the person that came 15th was on steroids or some other drugs. Nobody really cares about that, because it doesn't matter at the end of the day and costs too much money, even if people cared anyway. The blood passports are good, but they do raise some questions because people, well, our body tries to keep or regulate itself. Really? We're going too fast? But the body tries to regulate itself, whether in regards to temperature or your other body necessities. Your body always tries to keep itself at a homeostatic level, trying to keep it in tune with itself, all in line with every single other part of the body that, I don't know, requires you to live. Like your temperature's always regulated, we sweat, and then we get goosebumps when we're cold, our hair stands on our legs and arms when we get cold to trap the air. So your body always tries to keep in sync, but the thing with the blood passport, at least, is when it comes to drug testing and saying that someone uses drugs or is a drug cheat, it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit iffy, really, because as much as the body tries to keep at a certain level, there's, you know, you can always have your spikes. People can be stressed, and their testosterone levels might be really down. They might be feeling really bad. They might be, say, overtrained or something. And then you have, in the next year, someone might be feeling really, really good. They might not be depressed anymore. They might be feeling $100 or $1 million, whatever as the saying goes. And they don't really have any problems with their body. And I really need to go to sleep, like, really badly. They might not have any problems, and then so their testosterone level increases, etc. And that's the problem with the blood passports, is that there's no real levels to blood doping or how much drugs you have. It's just that if there's a anomaly or an increase or a decrease or something, it's a little bit suspicious, and then your reputation could be tarnished. You could be accused of taking drugs when you're not really taking drugs. You might have just improved your mental health. You're not as stressed anymore, which has a whole heap of effects on your body. That's a bit of a fault of the blood passports, which is a bit ridiculous. Yeah, as I was saying, it's extremely easy to get past all these other blood tests, etc. And like, the reason why Usain Bolt and Johan Blake, I will always accuse them. Whoa. Please. I'll always accuse them of like using drugs and being, well, lying thieves pretty much. I'll get into what Lance Armstrong did and why I think he's an absolute scumdog. But it's because in Jamaica, it's a pretty poor country and they do not even have a anti-doping agency. Now, it's up to the anti-doping agency, the National Anti-Doping Agency, to test its own athletes. But in Jamaica and a whole heck of other Caribbean nations, they don't have anti-doping agencies that should be funded by the government to keep it impartial, etc., from any donations or anything like that. But yeah, it's just so incredibly obvious that they use drugs, but it's extremely easy to pass these drug tests, and that's why the general public think that they're clean. And I personally hate saying this, but really in sports you should be seen as a liar or as a cheat if you say you're natural. I hate thinking when the government thinks all their citizens are criminals when it comes to wiretapping and all these laws, etc. In Australia, the government has tried to pass a legislation which allows it to, data retention, to keep all your records, your online records, what websites you searched, who you talk to, what you do, and all that stuff. I think that's incredibly wrong, and the government treats its people with too much suspicion in that case. But when you become an athlete, I guess that's an opt-in type of choice, and you have to surrender yourself to those laws, I guess, those ruling laws. And yeah, we're only 500 kilometers away, and it'll be cut down a lot shorter once we get through to Dover. It's gonna be one long ass episode. But the only time like Usain Bolt, etc., really gets tested at least, is during his competitions. And usually in competition, drugs really aren't going to help you. Like testosterone, I'm not even going to explain how it works, etc., because I just don't want to blabber on too much about something that I'm not even too sure if many people are interested in. Yeah, as I was saying, caffeine should be banned, etc. There's a lot less harsher drugs that are banned. It just money talks. Coke's, I think it was Coca-Cola, was like one of the major sponsors of the Olympics. And the Olympics likes to parade itself as a natural competition. They like to brag about how clean it is, how good they are. It's always like 4 or 8 years or 12 years later that it gets that all these drug cheats do get caught. It's like when Marian Jones got caught. Marian Jones in Australia, in Sydney. It's in Australia, yes, like in any other nation, I guess. The drug agency likes to parade itself around how good it is, how there's so few drug cheats that get by, how they're using state-of-the-art technology. But when it comes to Marian Jones in the Sydney Olympics in the year 2000, she got like, I think it was in the 100 meters, 3rd place or so, which is pretty bad for her. She used to be like a really good sprinter. Maybe, I'm pretty sure she would have got a couple of gold medals, but whatever. But she had a boyfriend, right? Her boyfriend got caught. Do I need to go to sleep? No, I don't need to go to sleep. What am I doing? Or Caltex. But her boyfriend got caught drug cheating. I think he even lied before a inquiry. There's some government inquiry in America. Her coach got caught with possession of steroids. Like her father or something. Like she had a whole heap of people surrounding her. They got caught with steroids and other performance-enhancing drugs. But still, it didn't really click that, hey, you know, maybe she's taking drugs. It never really clicked to those people. And it's just so amazing. She got away with it for so long until she got caught. And then because she lied before a government inquiry, or what do you call it in? I'm not sure what you guys call it in America. But she got caught and she got put 6 months in jail, which I think is just incredible for perjury. I think it's called perjury. Is the law that you break, lying when you've taken the oath. But yeah, she only served 6 months. Unless Armstrong, like, the thing is, it's so people like to have their own heroes, etc. Their own. They like to think that the people that they look up to are so clean. They're like Lance Armstrong was the perfect example where cancer survivor that overcame the odds and became the best cyclist that has ever graced the world. And he still is the greatest cyclist that's ever graced the world. You can't... This is another thing that gets me. When it comes to performance-enhancing drugs, people like to say they're the best, like Usain Bolt says he's the best 100-meter sprinter. Bull fucking shit, you're the best 100-meter sprinter. You might be the best 100-meter sprinter that gets past the drug tests, but if you can't say you're the best 100-meter sprinter if you hide behind drug laws. You want to say you're the best 100-meter sprinter, then make the competition untested. Make it so anyone can compete, not just so-called natural people. God knows Usain Bolt ain't. This isn't personally just some hate that I have on Usain Bolt or anything. It just, you know, it's extremely obvious when the only way that you can really catch drugs is by using randomized drug testing. And that's what a lot of these drug agencies do. At least in Australia they do it. They can come on, you have to surrender yourself for 1 hour every single day. You have to tell them where you're going to be. The drug agency. They can come knocking on your door at 4 o'clock in the morning, telling you to take your pants down and take a piss. I guess the best thing about being a guy is that you can always get a fake penis and use that. I'll get into the lengths a bit later. Still got 400 kilometers to go. The lengths that people go to pass drug tests, it's kind of fucked up, really. This is going to prove to be one long-ass episode, though. I'm gonna have to render this overnight. And then might have to pass on the Sunday upload. It'll probably be going up on the Monday, at least Australian time Monday. Hopefully it'll be Sunday night wherever you are. Unless you're in Australia, of course, which I do apologise. It's gonna be a long episode, which is good. We only upload this once a week. And hopefully by next week there will be an update. Something that I would love. Yeah, you have to surrender yourself to getting a drug test, and you have to tell your location where you're going to be at a certain hour every single day to the anti-doping agencies, at least in Australia, Britain, America. And that's the only way you can really test for drugs successfully, or at least as successfully as possible. Whereas in Jamaica, they don't even excuse me, they don't even have a drug testing agency. That's how ludicrous it all is. It's just, I'm not really excuse me, I'm not really too aware on the drug laws in Jamaica, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were extremely lax. Excuse me. But then again, in Australia, steroids are very illegal, unfortunately. But, you know, there's always ways that you can get them on. Well, now over the internet, usually what used to happen is that you'd know someone that would know someone, and then they'd be able to source the drugs for you, whatever you wanted. But because Australia's an island nation, it's a lot harder to import the drugs. Personally, I would never think of importing any drug myself. I think that's incredibly idiotic and crazy. Let's just let this car pass. And it's definitely not worth the time, honestly. But if the government wants to, you know, screw someone over that takes drugs for their own personal use, I don't really think that would really go too well in a court of law in terms on the government, especially if you can argue a good case on, like, if you're a good citizen, etc. I've personally never been involved in any crimes, etc. But yeah, because Australia's an island nation, drugs cost a shit ton of money. Because our customs is extremely good. It's well, probably the best in the world. Maybe, I don't know, I guess Japan might be a little bit better, because they're an island nation as well. Just by the virtue of what nation you are, if you're landlocked or whatever. And now you can, of course, buy it over the internet, over, well, Silk Road on Tor, which now is becoming extremely popular, and you know, governments worldwide don't really have anything, well, they can do about Tor. Well, maybe not Tor, because governments, well, Western governments like Tor, because if you don't know what Tor is, it's like a it's an encrypted service. So it's the Onion network. You might have heard of it. It's pretty much, it's really hard to, well, it's not really hard to explain, but just look up Tor and you'll understand what it is. It's your connection's encrypted. No one can really sniff what you are looking at. You have a different IP address because you're on a different network, and websites don't end in .com, they end in .onion. And it's a pretty good thing, pretty good service. It's great for, well, Western governments love it because it's great against oppressive regimes like in China, in Syria, in Iran. There's activists that use these services, and governments love it because they can spread dissent, whatever. They can cause uprisings over the internet, or in the deep web, as Tor is called. Yeah, as I was talking about Silk Road, like, there's not much. I guess many of you guys are younger, so I probably shouldn't be telling you all of this. But, you know, mainstream media's already caught on, so it's not like I'm doing something extremely inappropriate or anything personally. It's just that, yeah, well, mainstream media has already reported on Tor and Silk Road. And the Australian Federal Police have said that they can, trying to scare people off, telling them that they can trace other people on, well, that purchase things on Silk Road, which is just funny. It's funny what bureaucracies will do for a bit of government money, like a bit more government money, to prove that they're doing a good job. That's very amusing. They have no decency, like the police. And like, I love the police. I'm not one of these people that hate what the police do, but when it comes to like cybercrime, they're pretty damn clueless. And unfortunately, personally, it's, unless particularly the Australian government gets really serious about cybercrime, shit's gonna get really real soon, and like there'll be a 9/11 or something like that in terms of cybersecurity, and only then will, you know, Western governments take cybersecurity really seriously. Because at the moment they're just fluffing about, thinking nothing's gonna happen, you know. Pretty crazy. It's pretty sad to think like that something as drastic as like a so-called cyber 9/11 would have to happen for governments to take cybersecurity seriously. Like, they only took aircraft security or aviation security seriously after 9/11. It's quite unfortunate, but what can you do? All you can do is talk about it, really. Raise people's awareness about it, which is what I'm doing, if anyone's still watching. Definitely blabbered on quite a bit. I'm not sure if we've still got that mod that enables us to go past 90 kilometers. I'm pretty sure I do. What if I have, I'm not sure if I got the mod that goes over 120? Because the Europe map think it had something that changes the speed or something like that. Thank you. That's what you get when you don't wait in line. You gotta go to your destination that much quicker. Yeah, the lengths that some people go to pass drug tests when they might have screwed up. Because passing a drug test is really just an IQ test. You really need to understand the half-life of a drug, and you need to understand when it won't be detectable, and also having the understanding of how they test for the drugs would also really help. But for the most part, it's pretty simple to pass these drug tests. But if you've screwed up somehow, people take diuretics, which is pretty crazy because they're pretty easy to trace. Diuretics, however you want to say it, wherever you are. I'm pretty sure in America you say diuretics. Yeah, diuretics. In Australia we say diuretics. Anyway, off we go into Viva la France. Although I don't think we're going to go to France, are we? No, we are going to France. Calais. 35 minutes. It's going to be even later in the morning then. Hopefully the sun's well and truly out. Yes, it is. That didn't sound good. Thankfully, our truck is not really damaged to the point where it stops all the time. Yeah, some people do some really fucked up shit when they get caught. Because urine sampling tests don't really cost as much money, and they're used a lot more by doping agencies. So what some people do when they've taken drugs and they think they might get caught, they get someone else's piss that's clean. Usually probably their coach or whatever. I'm not really sure how it works, but then they shove a pipe up their urethra. So if you have a vagina or a penis, it's up your little hole. And this is hard to talk about, even just imagining it. And they put the pee from, well, they make sure their bladder is clean, so they pee out whatever they have, and they put someone else's bladder in, or piss into their bladder. It's extremely dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But these are the lengths that people go to. It's pretty screwed up. And I think that's a sad thing about it. Like, you know, in sports, it's literally quite necessary in almost all sports. There's only a couple of sports where drug taking really isn't necessary, and that'd be, well, it's not necessary to win, and that'd be like golf and tennis. Tennis, oh, it's a fairly necessary sport to be like physically fit and good at, but it's more or less like your ball placement, etc. It's like, you know, you can't take drugs to help you be able to pinpoint where you're going to place the ball, where you're going to serve or something like that. No, which is good, because tennis and golf are some of the two most highest paying sports, especially when you win, which is good. Personally, I obviously think that sports should not be drug tested. I mean, because if some sportsman says they're the best at a sport, then they can't really say it if they hide behind a drug test competition, because they're hiding behind a drug test competition. They might be the best person that's passed the drug test. They might not be the best person in the world. It's like saying you're the best white person, or the best black person, or the best person with brown hair or white hair or whatever. Nobody really gives a fuck about that. People really care about who the best in the world is, and that's what athletes can, care about as well. They want to be the best, and that's why they resort to drugs, and also because they want to be the best they can be. And there's plenty of people that use steroids, etc., any performance enhancing drug really. Usually it's some type of testosterone on the cycle. You could probably imagine your stereotypical gym rat, but usually your stereotypical gym rat has no idea how to cycle properly, because when you go on your cycle of testosterone and you've taken it, etc., your balls obviously shrink, as I said, and you have real no need to to create your own testosterone. Your body has no need because you're taking it yourself. Then yeah, when you go off the cycle, you need to go on post-cycle therapy to get your nuts back in order and you get yourself back in shape, because it's not really going to be good. Where is this car? Alright, what the hell? Alright. How the hell did that car in front of me get there? Must have been like literally right on my side. Oh, driver Tim's leveled up. Very nice. It's been a good hour so far. Hopefully you have enjoyed. Tell me if you have enjoyed so far this little rant, or, you know, I'm sure all of those people that aren't interested in this type of stuff would have clicked off at the gun rant. Yeah, sports in general should not be drug tested at all. I mean, that's the most ultimate sport. I personally like how WADA says that drugs are banned. I think they've sort of drifted off the unhealthy part, because really a lot of these drugs really aren't as negative as people make it out to be. But as I was saying, back to post-cycle therapy, or PCT, because when you go off your cycle of testosterone and your body's not creating testosterone itself, and it's going to take a little while for it to get back in order, you need to get it back in order yourself. So your estrogen levels are going to be quite high. It's raining again? Damn you, France. But your estrogen levels are going to be quite high. You're going to feel like absolute shit. You might grow bitch tits, is what they're called. Like you might grow a bit of a fatty lump underneath your nipples. Some people grow like literal nipples, like, well, not nipples but tits, when they go off testosterone, because they are not taking a proper post-cycle therapy. It's like when you see a lot of people that, if I don't know if any of you guys go to a gym or whatever, you might see some people that get really big, you know, for a couple of weeks, etc., when they're on their cycle and a little bit after it. But once they get off testosterone in their cycle, you'll see them deflate, and they probably don't look the same. That's pretty much because they're not really responsible. They're not responsible drug users. And I personally, when I get my blood test done, I don't use any, well, I don't use testosterone or anything like that. I use, well, at the moment I'm dieting down, and I'm still, well, what I'd call natural. I only at the moment am dieting down with albuterol, or its chemical name is salbutamol, I think, or salbuterol, something like that. Salbutamol, something of the sort. But it's called albuterol. It's basically used as a asthma medication. You might have heard of clenbuterol. Clenbuterol is a little bit harsher, a little bit worse for your body, where this is just the first time I'm really taking any real type of, I don't know, I guess you'd say illicit type of performance enhancing drug. But it's legal to import in Australia, at least from what I understand, because customs opened up my package and with my albuterol and they let it go through. So clearly they don't have a problem with it. And then again, a lot of things go through customs that probably shouldn't. In Australia. Yeah, all I'm really and all it really is, it's called a beta 2 antagonist. So it's pretty much a thermogenic, very much so like caffeine, although it's a little bit stronger than caffeine. It raises your body temperature, so your body temperatures increase, so you burn a bit more fat, and it encourages lipolysis, which is the state at which, whoa, I could not really do anything to fix that though, could I? Oh well. Oh well. Oh well, 21%. And that's 3% damage on our trailer. I'm sure it would have been at 0% before. You know what? I only just realized this, but there is a save feature here. What if I go show auto save? There we go, 2158. Let's see where this is. Let's see what will happen. We've been playing for an hour and 10 minutes or so, so going back a minute or so ain't gonna hurt anyone. We're only 58 meters away, 58 kilometers away, sorry. Okay. We're not too far from where we left off. Yeah, it's just the thermogenic, really. I personally don't think it should be banned. It's only got a half-life of, I think, 4 hours. And by half-life, I mean you loses half of its... if any of you guys are studying chemistry, you'd know. But it loses half of its effect every 4 hours. And it keeps on going and going and going and going. So it's a bit like that. But yeah, I'm just dieting down and... like... yeah, it's just... what was I talking about? Not really sure. I was talking about customs and all that. I think I covered everything that I've wanted to cover so far, which is good because we are pretty much where I wanted to stop at least. Pretty much the main moral of the video is that performance-enhancing drugs should be made legal, although they won't be, because the general public are rather biased and they're rather clueless, to be honest. Absolutely clueless. And unfortunately, that's a cold, hard reality that I live in, or that we live in. A lot of people just don't care. It's none of their interest. Which is cool, but I personally believe in personal liberty. Every man should be able to pick his own poison. You know? Some people drink alcohol. I personally think in Australia we have a massive problem with alcohol. It's pretty bad. Like, every Friday night you go out to the city, you'll see people that are just absolutely off their head. Pretty disgusting, really. Shouldn't really be like that. But I will completely support their right to be drunk, etc., and act like hooligans, as long as they don't destroy anything or, you know, get up all in someone's face and start punching him or whatever. But I don't like that people drink alcohol, but I'll always support their right to do it. I believe that they should be able to pick their own poison, whatever it might be. Which some people might say it's a little bit ridiculous, like saying I'm a libertarian or I believe in personal liberty, etc., when I'm against guns. But see, the thing about guns is that if the only problem with... oh, come on, you should not be stopping then. It was yellow lights. You've got to be kidding me. We are well and truly stuck now, aren't we? No? Come on. Wait, did our truck just go back to 16% damage? How the hell did that happen? Wasn't it like 23 before? And 3% damage on the trailer? What the hell happened? What the hell? Okay. Kind of... oh, right. I know why. I know, a silly idiot. Because we reset the game. Derp. Alright, if this is a nice skylight, sky roof, let's just go forward. Even though I'm pretty sure it was a red light. It sure as hell was. But personally, I believe in harm minimization, and I wouldn't care if guns were causing, like, suicides. I would completely be for guns if guns were, you know, the main reason people cause, like, well, the main way that people cause suicides. I couldn't care, well, I would care, but I'd still fight for the right to own guns. It's just that when they're harming other people, and I know you're going to use the example, guns don't kill people kill people. Well, how come you're not allowed nukes? Because nukes don't kill people. People kill people. Well, for whatever reason, you guys aren't allowed to have nukes in your backyards. I wonder why that is. And we just unlocked a Renault Renault? How do you say it? I can't even say it. Probably need to say it with a proper French accent. Renault? Renault? I'm not even going to attempt that. I'm going to attempt to cross over here illegally. Oh, we've unlocked a recruitment agency in Paris. How about that? Here we go, Aldi. Oh, this is one of these damned stops. Hate these stops. They suck big time. Alright, let's just press enter. Good work. Not gonna complain. Oh, so close to leveling up. Not close enough though. So, until next time, guys, thanks for watching. This is probably going to be one of the longest episodes that I've uploaded on my channel. Hopefully you have enjoyed. If you did, if you're still watching, then make sure you give it a like. But until next time, next Sunday, we'll be back with some more Euro Truck Sim then.